I did the opening scene where I killed Drew, hence the shirt, right? So I
Very,
killed.
very iconic.
Yeah, so that's an iconic scene. I was so blessed to be able to do that. Tony Season, who was the stunt coordinator, second unit director, he hired me, so he was my boss. Obviously, Wes was our boss, and he brought me in to do that scene with her, Drew, and it's iconic scene. So did all that. So I did basically the first half of Scream One, and then another stunt guy came in, and then on Scream 2, I did the whole center section when we were dealing with cop cars and crashing stuff, and uh, when Nev's crawling out of that car and all that whole big scene, that scene. So they brought me in to do that section. So I got to kill a few more people, so I was happy.
Right. Awesome. Uh, and what was it like working on those movies and with Wes Craven?
So I did a lot of shows with Wes. I mean, I probably did a half dozen of shows with Wes, and he was great. I think he was underrated for his time. I wish we could get a star on the Hollywood Hall of Fame walk. That'd be cool to get Wes a star out there one of these days. So Wes was very relaxed, knew what he wanted, um, dry sense of humor. Funny guy, but man, it was dry. He'd say something, and like a week later at lunch, you'd figure out what he said and start laughing.
Right.
Pretty.
Oh, yeah,
It was,
yeah, yeah.
I'm like, oh, that was funny. So um, the films themselves were, back in that time, you got to remember, this is mid 90s. These were not high budget film, right? It wasn't technically a low budget, but it wasn't a bunch of money for that time frame. I can't even remember what the original budget is. Somebody in the Scream Nation probably knows the budget on it. So
Right.
if you guys are watching, what's the budget for Scream One? What was it back then? 3, 5, 7 million. So, um, and then you got to remember back in that time, I'm just a working stunt guy. I had a great stunt career. So I would just go from show to show to show,
Yeah.
and I had no idea this was going to get spun out into this crazy franchise. And I'm glad it did. I'm glad I got to be a part of it. Love the fact that I got to do that opening sequence and have that notoriety. It's very humbling, and it's an honor to be associated with that. And much
Yeah.
less work with Wes and Tony. And you know, I'm I'm still in touch with Tony. So here we are, 30 plus years, and we're still talking and hanging out.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's not just an iconic scene in the Scream franchise. Like, that's just such an impactful and iconic scene in horror history, just in general.
Yeah. It's in my opinion, it's there's certain, out of the whole horror genre, right? Um, let's just take like 50 years of it, 60 years of it. There's these iconic scenes, like the scene in Psycho, right?
Yeah.
In the shower curtain, right? Classic
Yeah.
Hitchcock scene, right?
Yes.
Um, and so this is that kind of iconic scene, in my opinion.
Oh, for
And,
sure.
and it's like I said, I'm humbled, and it was a blessing to do it. So here we are 25, 26 years later, and we're still talking about it.